Good morning. Welcome to our Thursday reflection. Those of you who were in church last Sunday will remember it was a very long reading. Well, today it's a very short one, you may be pleased to know. And so I'm going to read 3 verses from Mark chapter 10, and they're verses 32 to 34. They were on their way up to Jerusalem, with Jesus leading the way, and the disciples were astonished, while those who followed were afraid. Again, he took the 12 aside and told them what was going to happen to him. "We are going up to Jerusalem," he said, "and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will hand him over to the Gentiles, who will mock him and spit on him, flog him and kill him. 3 days later, he will rise." And as always, we thank God for his word. Do you remember as a child an adult saying to you, "How many times do I have to tell you?" Or maybe you have said the same words to your own children. Well, in that passage, we hear that again, Jesus took the 12 aside and told them what was going to happen to him. Each time he has tried to warn them about what is to come, he has given more details. At first, in Mark chapter 8, it's the bare announcement. The second time, the hint of betrayal. And now, the third time, he paints the scene in graphic, horrific detail. If you read those 3 verses to yourself now, without particularly thinking about them, and then go away and do other things, and much later come back at the end of the day, which words will stick in your memory? We are told that if we are going to see a doctor or consultant or anything similar, we ought always to take someone else with us, especially if we're going to be given news of some kind, because we will only hear the bad news, whilst the person with us may hopefully hear the good news. It's easy for us to be selective in what we remember, and because we know that Jesus' prophecy about his death will be fulfilled, we may feel that these verses have very little to say to us in our own lives. We might forget or ignore the opening and the closing phrases. We hear they were on their way up to Jerusalem with Jesus leading the way, and the disciples were astonished while those who followed were afraid. There has obviously been a change of mood which has been sensed by all those following Jesus, not only the 12. In St. John's Gospel, we hear that Jesus saying that the Good Shepherd calls his own flock, leads them out, and they follow him because they know his voice. And in today's passage, we see that in action. In spite of their astonishment and their fear, in spite of not knowing what will befall them if they go with him to Jerusalem, they follow him. He speaks to the 12, and in spite of his prophecy about what is to come, they follow him. Many times we hear that his followers get things wrong and just don't understand. But those who have truly heard his voice follow him. In our own lives, things happen which we just don't understand. We see the suffering endured by so many good people, and we don't understand. If we're honest, we sometimes read our Bibles and don't understand what we've just read. But if we have heard his voice calling us, if we have believed his promise to be with us always, then we will continue to follow him to Jerusalem, to the cross, and therefore to that resurrection promised at the end of our reading, to that place where we will finally understand everything. So let us end with a prayer. Good Shepherd, be with us on our journey through this life. Grant us faith to follow you wherever you may lead, courage to step out into the unknown, grace to walk with humility, and commitment to travel on to our journey's end. So may we take up our cross and follow in the footsteps of Christ, wherever he may lead. Amen.